9 years ago, I was driving my taxi. I used to listen to audiobooks about mindset, success, and the power we all have within us to make our dreams come true. Cliché titles that still make me laugh. I was attending a finance and investment course in Buenos Aires. The instructor was a total fraud, but that's where I met her, and love blossomed. We started dating, and on our third date, something happened that would change the course of our lives forever. The question was, what if we left everything behind, quit our jobs, and embarked on a long, indefinite journey? We said yes, and that's how we began. With little clarity, a lot of enthusiasm, and practically not knowing each other, we decided to sell everything we owned and embark on this adventure, not knowing where it would lead us. Here are some photos we took of our belongings to post on Mercado Libre to sell. We got rid of everything. Some items we sold, while others we gave away. For instance, this book had a cliché title, but it was excellent. We tied a little bow on it and left it at a bus stop for its next owner. Then something happened that I will always treasure in my memories. I quit my job and promised myself never to work as an employee again. And these are the flowers I sent to Cynthia at work. It was the day she would tell her boss she was quitting to go on a long trip with a stranger, me. Our original plan was to go backpacking, so we bought everything we needed: a tent, sleeping bag, floor insulation, appropriate clothing, shoes, cooking utensils, and even our tickets. We planned to start our journey from the Retiro train station in Buenos Aires, heading to Tucumán, and figure it out from there. We bought everything except the backpacks because when we went to buy them, Cynthia had a panic attack while trying on the smallest one. She realized she wouldn't be able to carry such a heavy load on her small back. We had to change our plan. We decided to make a drastic shift, lose our train tickets to Tucumán, and look for a vehicle we could use for this trip. It had to meet 3 essential criteria. It needed space for a bed, it had to be eye-catching, and it needed to be easy to operate. We settled on a beautiful station wagon that we bought in Entre Rios. We found it in a closed garage with wires we had to break, and it had been sitting there for a long time. But when we saw it, we fell in love and bought it right away. We quickly started working to get it ready. We removed everything, built new side panels, and welded a bed. I find it amusing now. But when it rained, water came in from everywhere. We had 2 options. Option 1, seal the gaps, fix the roof, and replace the window seals. Option 2, sew a cover to protect it completely. We would have to put it on every night, take it off and fold it in the morning, and rush to put it back on if it started to rain to keep our things dry. So, what did we do? We chose option 2. We sewed a lovely cover for the rain and set off with that. Cynthia even sprinkled the key of the station wagon with holy water from the Cathedral of Luján before we left. But we never got to leave, as it caught fire. From the key barrel to the battery, all the wiring was ruined. We had a total of 3 failed attempts to leave. With each one, our entire family came to see us off, but we always ended up coming back. Until the real and final departure, when only my mother-in-law saw us off, marking the beginning of a new and fantastic chapter in our lives. We had saved for a year, but after buying the station wagon, the savings we had left lasted for only 3 months. We began to finance the trip by selling handmade crafts on the street. We made macrame bracelets and painted glass pictures, which we sold in plazas, pedestrian areas, and wherever we could. In fact, this photo is forever etched in our hearts. They were our first customers in Tartagal, Salta, who bought a little glass picture. Our first picture. Oh, and while in Tartagal, we won the Libertadores Cup. For those of you asking, excuse me, is this a joke? It is. But as a football fan, I had no idea how complicated it would be to be able to watch a game. Once we were out of the country, I couldn't enjoy the games I was used to. So be warned, watching games abroad is a bit difficult. We bought food and paid for gas, but we didn't go on excursions and deprived ourselves of certain pleasures, as we were always scraping by. Until one day, arriving at the border between Bolivia and Chile, we had to face one of our greatest fears. We had to cover 200 kilometers. The idea was to sell in the little towns along the way to refuel near the border, but it turned out that the towns were very small. It was freezing cold and there was no one on the streets. We reached the border without money and without gas, and we experienced something that marked us forever. We hadn't had lunch, so we approached the only kiosk there and with great embarrassment asked the girl working there if she would trade us bracelets, our crafts, for something to eat because we had no money at all. She gave us a couple of cookies and 2 sodas. And overwhelmed with shame, we got into the station wagon, hugged each other and cried. We hadn't set out on a journey to live like this without a peso and begging for food. Something had to change. That's when we made a firm decision out loud that we would never again find ourselves in such a situation. Never again would we remain without money, and we began to set aside a small portion of every cent that came into our pockets to create a savings fund that would allow us to handle future situations like this in a better way. That's how the idea of sharing our lifestyle through videos arose, so that those who want to do something similar would have tools to base their decisions on. But it wasn't until the next phase that the idea became fully realized. If you are new to the channel, I would like to point out something that was always an issue during our 8 years of travel. From the moment the key barrel caught fire before we set off on our journey to the problems we faced in the last days of our trip. Our adventure was marked by mechanical problems, always. In Argentina, the station wagon struggled with the hills. In Bolivia, we discovered that it had a cracked block and had to take out the engine and fix it. In Peru, we encountered problems with the gearbox and clutch, and we were close to ending the trip. In fact, we began to make our way back to Chile, then returned to Argentina. We spent that journey talking about everything we were discovering along the way. We drove through beautiful routes with incredible landscapes, enjoying new flavors in every country. But there was one thing stood out above all others. The people from each country had a strong desire for us foreigners to have the best impression of them. Car clubs organized to help us, people who found us stranded on the road stopped to assist, and even police officers helped us. Push. Thank you. That's when we made 2 very important decisions. First, we really wanted to travel, so we would continue our journey north, and second, we would create our YouTube channel to share our experience. We didn't create it for financial reasons. We just wanted to show people what we had been looking for before setting off on our journey and couldn't find, which was, what is it like to live while traveling in a small space? And how do people receive you in each place you arrive? Today, YouTube is filled with channels showing just that. And I take great satisfaction in that, as more and more people can discover why traveling is worthwhile. At that moment, we didn't realize it, but this decision to create our YouTube channel would unknowingly transform our journey. We started with YouTube, but it wasn't easy. I had to learn from scratch a lot of skills I was completely unfamiliar with. Filming, overcoming shyness in front of the camera, having something interesting to say, editing, coming up with titles, designing thumbnails, and much more. When you start on YouTube, do you feel like you have to learn and do a ton of things you were clueless about all at once? In the meantime, we continued to earn money with handmade crafts. And I kept doing the hard work, filming the journey and sharing it on YouTube. The community began to grow, the videos started reaching more people, the channel expanded, and suddenly the pandemic hit. We were entering Mexico from Belize and got stuck in Chetumal. We could no longer sell handmade crafts because there was no one on the streets. So we decided, driven by the situation, to make YouTube our main source of income. That's when Cynthia joined the channel 100% and we shyly began working with some brands. Later, we made a decision that would completely change our relationship with the mechanical issues that continued to arise during our journey. When we were selling pictures, we invested in making them of better quality so we could sell them better, and it worked. So we decided to invest in our YouTube channel, began taking courses, connected with people who are doing it at another level, and even improved our equipment. And that's when we made another key decision. If we improve at what we love, we can generate an income that allows us to pay professional mechanics. While the truck is in the shop, we could use that free time to do more of what we enjoy. A win-win situation. We headed in that direction and we achieved it. Until we reached the United States, where prices are at another level. The United States was different from everything we had been experiencing. Just as many people told us not to go to certain countries in Latin America because they were dangerous, we now received many comments about how cold the people in the United States were, and that we couldn't break anything on the truck here because they would charge us an arm and a leg. Besides the cultural differences, Cynthia and I also been discussing about how she felt. Her desire to travel was fading away. She had already experienced what she wanted and wanted to return to Argentina. And that's what we did. We flew together. We arrived just in time to see the World Cup final and to be part of the beautiful madness that is this country, which we already missed a lot. After that, I returned to the United States and began to cover the last 5,000 kilometers of the journey to Alaska. Traveling alone was a hidden desire I had harbored for a long time. Knowing that Cynthia was calm and close to her family allowed me to enjoy it at another level. I had to confront my own insecurities and take full responsibility for my decisions. It helped me get to know myself a little better and gain clarity on how much I enjoy what I do on YouTube. Telling stories and sharing tools for those who want to do the same is something I love. And just when I was advancing like a champion, everything became complicated again. The station wagon was overheating, losing power, and leaving me stranded anywhere. I felt lonely for a few days until I decided to ask for help. Slowly, angels along the way started to appear who had always been there in all situations. They invited me to their homes, connected me with a wheelies club, took the station wagon, and returned it to me. With a renewed engine and in a condition it had never been in since we set off on our journey. And they didn't charge me a single peso. Those incredible things. I continued on, passing through national parks, taking ferries, bidding farewell to the United States and entering Canada. The places were incredible. YouTube had solidified as our main source of income, and it allowed me to enjoy the journey while sharing it and helping those who wished to do the same. I decided to act on a desire that had been growing inside me for quite some time. I wanted our arrival in Alaska to be a beautiful crowning achievement. And now that everything seemed to suggest it was closer than ever, we gathered with other amazing travelers who shared the same dream and began to move forward together. Suddenly, I received beautiful news. Alaska was never too far from us. Whether due to mechanical problems, the times we felt like changing course, or the pandemic, we never had a solid assurance of arriving, but we did have a clear desire to enjoy the journey. Cynthia and I agreed that if she ever felt like continuing to travel, all she had to do was say so and she would return, and that's what she did. She called me and said she wanted to close this important travel chapter and wanted us to arrive together. We had traveled together for 92 of the 96 months we had been on the road. And she joined the caravan with which we made our grand and much anticipated triumphant entry into the last frontier, Alaska. Not only that, but we traveled through the northernmost territory of the American continent for 5 weeks in a traveling caravan that had over 13 vehicles. Traveling together and experiencing the fulfillment of a dream while sharing it so far from home. Although this story seems to convey the message that it's worth pursuing dreams because they come true sooner or later, I feel that I would like to share something a little different. And those are the reasons we reached Alaska. We set off on a journey in a station wagon without conducting a mechanical check because we didn't even think about it. I wouldn't recommend anyone to leave in that way. We set off without a plan for financing our journey, but we managed to make it work. However, it wasn't always the journey we envisioned. We didn't visit as many incredible places as we could have because we didn't have the money. Today we look back and see many things we would certainly do differently when we hit the road again. But I would also like to share the few things that I feel we did well. On one hand, we were sure of the goal that we wanted to achieve. This may surprise some, but we kept financial records, those famous spreadsheets, so we knew exactly how much money we needed to travel. We made decisions based on our long-term desires. welcomed new ideas, and continuously expanded our own limits. We each kept a journal that allowed us to gain perspective and valuable insights from our experiences. We respected our goals and supported each other in pursuing them, but we also surrendered to what we couldn't handle and asked for help when needed. That's how we reached Alaska. Additionally, there is a factor that runs through each of these reasons: the human factor, which is incredibly important and played fundamental roles throughout our journey. Our journey wouldn't have been the same without this. Although, to be honest, the human factor didn't always meet our expectations and sometimes led to unexpected challenges. In the next video, we will share what precautions to take in dangerous countries and what you can expect in terms of people's treatment when traveling by motorhome from Argentina to Alaska.